Hey there, glad you stopped by. I genuinely appreciate you taking a moment to watch this, and if you feel like subscribing, that'd honestly mean a lot to me. Now, let's get right into the heart of the story. Nothing screamed disaster at first. No sirens, no glaring signals. Just subtle shifts. A new note in her laughter, routines rearranged in quiet ways, her phone always screened down on the kitchen counter. Despite those flickers of change, the truth still hit like a steel bat to the throat when it finally surfaced. I was supposed to be in Dallas, presenting at a tech expo I'd been prepping for over half a year, but a last-minute cancellation opened up my schedule, and I figured I'd surprise my fiancée, Marissa. I grabbed her go-to order from her favorite Thai place, extra heat, no peanuts, and picked up tulips because she always rolled her eyes at roses. The clock read 7:17 p.m. when I walked through the front door. As I stepped inside, I immediately noticed something off. No sound from the TV. No playlist humming from the kitchen speaker. Lights down low in the hallway. I figured maybe she was taking a nap or soaking in the tub. Then I heard it. Something low, rhythmic, intimate. A sound that doesn't leave your bones once it's buried itself in. I started moving without even thinking. The hallway stretched like a tunnel as I neared the bedroom. I opened the door. And there they were, Marissa and Caleb, half-dressed, tangled in sheets we had picked out together last Christmas. She didn't gasp, didn't even flinch, just looked up, met my eyes, and with a tiny smirk said, "You're home early?" As if I'd just walked in while she was folding laundry, not cheating, with my best friend. Caleb chuckled, the audacity in full bloom. "Well, this is awkward," he said, smirking. "You gonna cry or what, dude?" I stood frozen, one hand gripping the crushed tulips, the other holding the bag of rapidly cooling takeout. I smiled, not because I was fine, but because in that exact moment, something in me fractured. And when a man breaks in silence, what comes next isn't an explosion. It's a blueprint. No words came out. I just turned, walked out, and left them standing in the ruin they'd crafted. That night, I didn't scream, didn't shed a tear, didn't sleep. I parked outside a greasy 24-hour diner and stared blankly through the fogged windshield, replaying every shared moment from the last 3 years. How had I not seen it? But the truth was simple. I had loved them both. I had trusted them. I would have taken a bullet for Caleb. That betrayal cut the deepest. But I refused to fall apart. I sharpened myself on that pain. In the days that followed, I vanished. No calls, no texts, no contact. While they scrambled in uncertainty, I was laying the groundwork. See, Marissa didn't know I regularly checked our joint credit statements. She also didn't know that the flashy BMW she flaunted on Instagram still registered in my name, or that I was co-signer on her lease, which legally gave me the right to terminate it at will. And Caleb? His tech startup listed me as a silent investor under a clause that allowed full withdrawal and dissolution if the funds were misused. That weekend, I got everything in motion, quietly, strategically. I hired a discreet attorney, compiled records, screenshots, call logs, dates. Not to make a scene. This wasn't revenge, it was correction. Come Monday, I had changed the apartment locks, forwarded her mail, shut down our joint accounts, and disabled her access to the car. That morning, when she tried to drive, access denied. By Wednesday, Caleb received a cease and desist for financial misconduct, along with a detailed invoice of what he owed under breach of contract. His startup was already limping. Now it was on life support. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I dismantled everything with cold, mechanical precision. And then I waited. You'd think being caught mid-affair would spark remorse, maybe guilt, but instead they doubled down. 3 days after it all blew up, Marissa posted a glam selfie, red lipstick, new dress, with the caption, "Freedom feels good sometimes." It landed, but not the way she thought. It told me everything. She wasn't devastated. She assumed I'd disappear quietly, crushed. The next day, Caleb shared one of those recycled quote graphics. The fake ones always reveal themselves. I just stared at it and felt strangely calm, because in that moment I knew they had no clue what I was doing. They mistook silence for surrender. But I was silent because I was busy loading every round. Marissa had no idea I had archived hundreds of her texts, messages where she called me her soulmate, promised a lifetime. But I didn't stop there. I had timestamps. Photos from romantic nights that overlapped with evenings she claimed to be visiting her sister, when in truth, she was at Caleb's apartment. Venmo records showing she used my money to buy him gaming gear, hotel stays, rental cars, dinner tabs. I had unknowingly funded their entire affair. But this wasn't about social media drama or loud confrontations. I had a different plan. Quiet exposure, delivered with surgical clarity. The truth doesn't have to shout. It just has to be seen. I created a Google Drive folder, neatly organized, chronological, thorough. Every transaction, every receipt, every message. I recorded a calm narration connecting the dots. No name-calling, no theatrics. I titled it, Loyalty, a Timeline. Then I shared the link in a group chat with her coworkers, our mutual friends, and Caleb's sister, the one who once told me I deserved someone better. No explanation, no caption, just the link. The response was swift. My phone exploded within minutes. Is this legit? She really did that? From Marissa's cousin Alyssa. I had a feeling. I'm so sorry, Mason. Then came a voicemail from Marissa's manager. Hi, Mason, this is Denise. We need to talk. There are some HR matters that came up. Can we set something up tomorrow? Her boss. I actually smiled, because once Marissa told me I never stood up for myself, and now I was proving her wrong, without raising my voice. That evening, her Instagram vanished. Caleb's profiles were locked down. No apologies came. But the silence said more than words ever could. The next day, Caleb got another legal notice, this time detailing every breach in our investment deal, fake invoices, unauthorized charges, embezzled funds. He had 30 days to return the money and shut the business down. The document was flawless. My attorney had made sure of that, and for good measure I mailed a copy to his parents' home. They'd treated me like family for years. I figured they deserved to know what had really happened, not through gossip, but through proof. A few days later, I heard he'd packed up and left. Business shut down, website gone, socials deactivated. As for Marissa, I saw her again about a week later. Saw might be generous. I was leaving my favorite cafe, latte in hand, when I spotted her across the street. She looked nothing like her filtered selfies. No makeup, skin pale, eyes swollen, hair tied back in a messy bun. She looked hollow, haunted. She froze when she saw me. I took a slow sip, nodded once, and kept walking. The next morning, I woke to a long, scattered email from her. Subject line, please talk to me. I didn't reply. That night, I typed out one final message. Just 7 words. What am I supposed to do now? She read it, didn't respond. The silence for once wasn't mine. Weeks passed. The quiet settled in like dust on all the things Marissa once held dear. There were no celebratory moments, no whispered updates to mutual friends. I kept going, steady, intentional. While her world began to splinter, mine solidified. I felt weightless, unburdened. But when I heard what followed, I'd be lying if I said it didn't stir something in me. Emily, once one of Marissa's defenders, shared what she knew. The collapse hadn't just shaken Marissa, it had reduced everything to rubble. It began with a company investigation. HR launched a formal inquiry. Questions about misconduct, inappropriate relationships, and suspicious charges. She had listed a night out as a client dinner. But the location? A bar better known for hourly rooms than high-end cocktails. The guest? Caleb. Then came the apartment. I had removed my name from the lease, waived any obligation. She was left holding the entire financial weight. 2 months behind on rent. Locked out. Her designer purses and her MacBook, I'd packed them myself. Emailed her the storage code. Never reached out again. Emily went on. Marissa had shown up at her parents' house, distraught, begging for empathy. Her father, a man of few words and rigid values, wouldn't even look at her. "You betrayed the man who made your life possible," he said, "and now you expect us to clean it up?" Caleb vanished. His startup folded. Friends drifted. Even his own sister messaged me privately. "I'm ashamed of him. I'm sorry for everything." But this wasn't about revenge. Not really. Vengeance to me was never about witnessing someone's ruin. It was reclaiming the pieces I'd lost. I began waking up with clarity. Coffee without bitterness. Runs at sunrise. Design work I had once only dreamed of doing, finally mine. Betrayal sharpens the parts of you you once softened for others. Then one afternoon, a knock. I knew it was her before I even checked. Marissa stood there. Worn jeans, wrinkled shirt, bare face, clutching a plain envelope. "Mason, please," she said, barely above a whisper. I didn't let her in. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. 5 minutes, she pleaded. Her voice wavered. "I know I destroyed everything. I don't expect forgiveness. But it wasn't just physical with Caleb. He made me feel seen. I was reckless, and I lost everything, including you." I almost laughed. This was the same woman who once dismissed my hurt like it was beneath her. Now she trembled in its shadow. She extended the envelope. Inside, a handwritten letter and a sizable check. "I sold the BMW," she said quietly. "You paid for most of it. This belongs to you." I looked at the check, then at her. "You know what cuts the deepest?" I asked. Calm, measured. "You only realize my worth after you destroyed it." She flinched. "I don't want your money or your guilt. I just want you to leave." She nodded, tears pooling. A fragile thank you slipped from her lips. She walked away. I didn't watch. I turned back to my desk, sat down and smiled. Not because she hurt, but because, for the first time in a long time, I didn't. Weeks later, I debated skipping a wedding. Too many mutual acquaintances. But I went, and I'm glad I did. That's where I met Grace. She worked in marketing. Her laugh was like wind dancing through trees. She didn't ask shallow things. She asked questions that mattered. We talked for hours. She didn't know about my past. Didn't need to. At one point, she said, "Your eyes look like they've been through storms and survived." And that's when I understood. Healing doesn't begin when someone else breaks. It begins when you stop waiting for them to notice. Pain changes everything, not just when it arrives, but in the echoes it leaves behind. Before Marissa and Caleb, I believed love was enough. That kindness boomeranged back. That loyalty meant safety. Now, I believe in boundaries, in knowing your value, in never begging someone to see what should have been obvious. Grace and I stayed in touch. It wasn't explosive, it was steady, intentional. Like rebuilding from the ashes, one brick at a time. She never tried to fix me. She simply let me be. She once said, "You don't need to be healed for me to admire your strength." It felt peaceful. It felt real. But this isn't Grace's story. This is about what betrayal leaves behind. Once the noise quiets, and all that's left is your own breath. Months after Marissa last showed up at my door, she sent an email. No subject. No attachments. Just a sentence. "Got a job in Ohio, small firm, trying again. I hope one day you'll believe I never meant to hurt you. You probably won't reply, but I'm truly sorry. I hope you're happy." I didn't answer. Not out of anger, but because I no longer needed her words. I'd already moved on. I redecorated the condo, repainted the walls, replaced her scent diffusers, and donated the furniture she chose. The space no longer felt haunted. It felt like mine. Caleb? Rumor said he moved to Seattle under a new name, starting over. But karma rarely makes headlines. Sometimes it shows up like a slow leak. Quiet. Certain. Me? I was thriving. Not in some curated, filtered, online perfect way. In the real ways. Waking up without panic. Doing work I loved. Reconnecting with my parents. Reading again. Laughing with Grace over dumb documentaries. Saying no without guilt. Sleeping without shame. That's the kind of revenge no one anticipates. Because when someone betrays you, they're not just abandoning love. They're betting on your collapse. But I didn't just get back up. I rebuilt. Wiser. Stronger. Sharper. So if you're sitting there shattered and waiting to fall apart, Here's what you need to know. You don't have to scream. You don't have to break down. You only need to rise. Let their lies ignite your truth. Let your silence carry more power than any argument. Let your transformation be the echo they never imagined. One day they'll see who you became without them, and they'll realize they didn't just lose love. They lost someone unforgettable. And you'll sip your coffee, smile, and walk forward. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it didn't defeat you. That's where this story ends. If it spoke to you, leave a comment. And if it did, stay tuned for more stories. Until next time, friend.